Casper and Dennis here for Submission Radio. We're standing with Robert Whittaker after your big win over Brad Tavares. First question, how does it feel to get such a big win after so many critics and so many fans counted you out?
Yeah, I love the doubters. I love proving them wrong. It makes it's like the topping of it on a piece of cake. And yeah, besides that, putting in the length of the camp, the weeks and weeks of training, the weeks and weeks of sacrifice, saying no to things, and then coming out like this is just the best result.
What was the hardest thing to say no to?
Food. It's like, how many birthdays there were where they're like, you want some cake? I'm like, oh, shouldn't. It's like, Easter came around. That was pretty hard.
Well, obviously a lot of people like, Brad's going to beat Rob. Rob doesn't have a shot. Mentally, when you visualize how this fight would go, is this pretty much what you thought would happen, or did you see it go a different way?
Yeah, this is how I saw it go. Would happen. I've done my research. I know how he fights, and my whole game plan was, when he comes forward, I hurt him. When he goes backwards, I hurt him more.
Obviously, your game plan sounds like you were ready for the 3 rounds. Did you think it was going to happen so quickly? Did you think you were going to get the first round knockout? I mean, he was pretty much over before it started.
Yeah, I prepare for 25 minutes, I prepare to fight the long haul. The plan is to punch him, and if he doesn't go down, punch him some more and don't stop, you know what I mean? And yeah, so the fact that it did finish so quickly, I'm blessed and I'm happy with. Sometimes you just land that one good hit and they can't recover from it.
Well, you've got plenty of good hits, Rob. And I mean, ever since you've gone to middleweight, it really looks like that power is there for every shot. Do you feel like you have more power in middleweight than when you had to cut all that weight? And did you feel more drawn out back then, and now you feel a bit like you have more power in middleweight?
100%. I spend most of the camp now just worrying about training, worrying about the next session, rather than, oh, what am I eating tonight? What am I eating tomorrow? What's for lunch? How hungry am I? You know what I mean?
Sound like us.
Yeah, it's a total change. And then the weight cuts, I still got a cut like everybody else, but they're not debilitating type cuts anymore. They're not, I'm laying on the floor getting dragged around type cuts. I have more water in my head so I can take more hits. I have more water in my body and my muscles, so I have a lot more power. And I feel like this is my proper form. This is where I'm at, and I feel I'm just going to keep growing into the division, and yeah, my power and my skill set's just going to evolve.
I think you open up a lot of eyes today. Speaking of the division, a lot of people are saying, and have been saying for a while now, Robert Whittaker, look, he's small for middleweight, obviously coming from welterweight. Do you feel like, because you're a young guy, you'll continue to grow and get bigger? I'm not saying you'll go to light heavyweight, but do you think we may see a slightly different looking Robert Whittaker in the next few years?
Oh, definitely. I'm growing still. I'm still growing into my man body, and as like you said, I'm moving from welterweight to middleweight, and the difference between welterweight and middleweight is huge. Like, if you look at the size difference and the cut difference, and off season and like in season, there's a big difference even between one division. So going from welterweight to middleweight is a gradual process. When I fought Clint Hesse, I was more like a fat welterweight than I was a middleweight. Now I'm looking like a leaner, faster middleweight, and yeah, let's see how it goes. I'm going to keep training, and I'll probably be developing more muscle mass, and but I want to stay fast, and yeah, let's see how it turns out.
A lot of fans are a bit critical, saying, oh, Rob is a bit too small for the weight class. When you verse a guy, for example, like Luke Rockhold in the future, and we're sure you will because you're going up the ranking quickly, will you ever worry about the fact that some guys are just going to be a lot bigger than you in the division, a lot more reach, a lot more height?
I'm not too worried about reach, per se. Like, unless you're an amazing striker with amazing reach, then, I may have a problem. But I close the gaps real quickly. I'm in and out. I can move. I got head movement. I got lateral moving, like footwork. I have no problem with mucking around with long reach. As for the size difference, truthfully, for someone to manhand, to be that much bigger than you, can grab you by your ankles and manhand the hell out of you, is ridiculous. I'm not going to let you do that. And if I ever get manhandled, it'll be due to a lack of technique and skill that I didn't do in the camp, rather than any lack of bicep curls and whatnot.
We spoke to you a couple of days ago and asked, what is it about the critics, not seeing something in you and why you're unranked? It seems like this is going to be the big fight. Everybody's sort of woken up. You might get the Luke Rockhold treatment where everyone's talking about, wow, you might be the next contender, or at least put you in the big, the big picture. Is there anyone particular that you want to fight next? I know a lot of fighters just say, look, take the next fight. Is there any names in at least the top 15 that you see and you go, wow, this is a guy that I'd like to face. I match up well with him.
Not really. I don't watch a lot of UFC, to be honest. I don't look up to me. I don't even know who is in the top 10, to be honest. Wow. But I know some names, but like I just love fighting. I love getting put in there. Joe gives me a name, I say yes, and then we go from there. So if you're above my name in the rankings, then I want to fight you.
It's an interesting point that you bring up, but you don't watch too much UFC. What's it like? Because obviously your whole life revolves around MMA, but you've got a life outside that as well. Do you find that it's a bit too much having to watch every UFC card, train MMA, whole life surrounding it? Do you need to take a break sometimes from the MMA world and sort of do some stuff outside it to sort of clear your mind?
You know, that's probably what it is. That's probably why I don't watch a lot of the MMA or any other sports, to be honest. So I kind of jump in my fantasy games and whatnot, and just really delve into a world that fighting isn't as hard.
I just want to talk to you a little bit about that world. Now, we were talking before the interview. You're a bit of a gamer, and you've got Mortal Kombat written across your stomach. I want to talk to you a little bit about games right now. You are a big Diablo 3 fan. You like to play a bit of GTA. What else? What are some other games for the gamers at home that feel bad about lying around on the couch playing all day? One of the best middleweights in the world likes to do it too. What are some other games that you enjoy playing?
I love all your sort of like turn-based games as well, like Civ 5, and I like playing your survival horrors. I like a lot of the indie games on Steam. But at the moment, like I'm really solely into D3. That's my game at the moment. It takes up a lot of time that I'm not training, and my coaches actually say that I do too much of. But oh well.
I was going to say, before this interview started, we were talking about EA UFC and how perhaps, who knows, we might have to put out a few tweets ourselves. You might be, a downloadable character in the future, not in the game at the moment. He said, I hope not, because I might be the guy that everybody tries to beat up. Let's say Robert Whittaker does make it to the game. Who would be the first matchup you'd have in the EA UFC game? You could choose out of anyone in the whole game.
No, I'd make my own character and try and knock myself out. I'd beat myself up in the ultimate fighter house and start a new career.
Now, let's talk about the main event. Mark Hunt, Stipe Miocic. It's in the books now. Mark Hunt, I think a lot of Australians, pretty much the whole of Australia, is pretty devastated by the loss. Did you get to watch the fight, and what's your take on it?
Yeah, I did see the fight, and, Mark Hunt's as tough as bricks, you know what I mean? And sometimes he's too tough. But no one can take away his warrior spirit, and I can see where he's coming from. Sometimes it's better to lose in battle than to throw in the towel, and I can see that mentality. And who's to say he's wrong or he's right? My heart's out to him. He's like, I'm a huge fan of his, and I hate seeing him lose. But I'm sure he'll come back from it stronger than ever. He's been through worse.
Yeah, do you think the fight went too long? Do you think it should have been stopped earlier? A lot of people were a bit, not scared, but they didn't like the view of him just sort of lying there taking so many punches.
If Mark didn't give up, then I don't think the fight should have been stopped. I think it's up to him. If he had the spirit to keep going, then props to him. He's the fighter. He can say when it stops. And if he wants to go till the end, he'll go till the end.
It's a fighter's choice. Let's talk about some really special news as well. People were wondering and waiting to find out whether or not, obviously, your wonderful wife was going to have a baby while you were in the dressing room getting ready for the fight. Hopefully it didn't. Wonderfully, it didn't happen. It looks like it's going to happen next week. For the fans listening at home, what are we looking at here? A boy or a girl? Can you share that with us?
Yeah, I got a little boy Jack on the way.
Jack.
Yeah. So I'm stoked for that.
Jack's a great name. That's a really good name. A lot of times, some of my mates bring you up in conversation, but they forget the first name and they'll say Forrest Whittaker. Did you think, hey, why not name the baby Forrest? Great IMDb profile if I do.
I would never name my kid Forrest.
Well, if he did, he could take a lot of credit about things that he necessarily didn't do. He could just be like, that's me when I was younger and darker. Rob, we appreciate the time. Congratulations on your big win, and we can't wait to see you back in the cage. Have fun with Diablo 3.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.